Hiya, my name's Charlie and welcome to my channel. It feels a bit weird today because I'm filming on a Friday, whereas normally I film a Saturday, but I've decided that I want the whole weekend just to be quality family time, so this is what I'm doing. Right, so welcome to my weekly read. I hope you guys are alright. Let me know in the comments below what you're up to, what you're reading, you know, the usual, so we can have a good old conversation in the comments. Before I get into all the nattery stuff, I will share with you what I'm reading, etc. So I haven't really finished a whole lot since I last spoke to you, I think. So I have finished one, but I'll tell you about that in a second. I've continued to read my next, I'm reading this as Royally Doris for the Literary Doris Along. This is the last month of the Literary Doris Along. And we are obviously reading Royally Doris. This is the fourth book in the Our Doris series. I've chosen to read 100 pages a week so that it doesn't interfere with any of my other women's prize reading, etc, etc. And I'm really enjoying this. Obviously there were bits at there has been bits that even though I only read it, I was a beta reader for this book, in case you don't know, and so it hasn't been that long ago since I read this, but there were still bits that I had forgotten about, and there was a beautiful moment where Harold is hugging Doris, where she obviously needs it, and it was just really, really beautiful. It's gorgeous. I love this book. I love Charlie's writing, of course. So if you want to join in with the Literary Doris Along, as I say every week, I will put links in the description. So yeah, and also places where you can buy Royally Doris and all of the Doris books. I'm looking forward to talking and discussing it all on the live show with you guys. Like I said, I'll let you know when the date's announced for that. So that's one thing. I finished I'm a Fan. So this is one I've been reading. If you guys have been watching the live shows, the plod-alongs that me and Gemma and Alice have been doing, all their channel links will be in the description. I've been reading the last two times we've been doing the plods. I was reading I'm a Fan and I finally finished it. I'm a very slow reader. This is what you guys will know about me. Especially since I've had COVID, like I said, my eyes are I just don't feel like I can read as much. Maybe that's my energy as well, partly. I feel like I'm more listening to more audiobooks, but yeah, so I still don't really know my thoughts on this, but at the end of all of my reading chat, I'll tell you I've read 6 of the books from the Women's Prize long list so far, and I will tell you where I ranked it, so that might give you a slight indication as to my feelings. This is a book about kind of obsession and kind of this toxic relationship. Parts of it and I loved. I love it when she talks about race and things like that in this as well as other social critiques, which I really enjoyed. But then the lead character is an unlikable character, and it's intentionally so, obviously. But yeah, I still don't know how I feel about it. Half of me loved it, half of me hated it. And I feel like I definitely don't really want to reread it, but I'm interested in reading more from the author. So when you find out my rankings of the Women's Prize books at the end of all this, at the end of all these my weekly reads bit, you might have a good idea of that. But yeah, so right, so that's after that. So I am currently listening to. I think I'd only just started the Bandit Queens last time I spoke to you, or had I? I don't know. Well, in the plod along I was talking about that I'd started the Bandit Queens. I'm still only quite early doors into it because I haven't been reading very much this week. Very bad booktuber, I'm sorry. But I think I've listened to maybe 3 hours, which is quite good. So I think it's a 12-hour audiobook, and I'm 9 hours in. No, I'm up, I've got 9 hours left, so I'm 3 hours in. I kind of I like this book. I'm listening to the audio, like I said. And I like this book, but it hasn't given me that 5-star feeling yet. But it could be where I've been listening to it in lots of little chunks, and I feel like I just need to dedicate a good chunk of hours, kind of just stick my headphones in and just kind of shut off from the world, which I can't obviously do this weekend because I'm having family time, like I said. But I feel like it just needs to be one of those days when I'm at home, maybe I've got the day to do housework or whatever, and I can just focus on the audiobook. And maybe I will get a better feeling from it. But I do still like it. I can see it's a solid, the writing's solid, but it isn't, it doesn't give me that something extra that I kind of want. And it might be because one of my favourite books, was this that I loved that was like another women's prize long-listed one, I think, longlisted or shortlisted one, was My Sister the Serial Killer, which is 100% like different from this, but it kind of like, when I read the premise of the Bandit Queens, I was kind of like, oh, maybe it's kind of giving me that kind of vibes, but this is nothing like that. So if you liked My Sister the Serial Killer and you're going into this book thinking, oh, maybe it's going to be like that, it's not like that at all. It doesn't have those sort of the same humour at all. I don't think. And I don't know, I'm just not really, yeah, that's how I am. I like it, I do like it, I'm just not loving, as I keep repeating myself. So that's that one. I picked, so that's kind of like where I'm at. Oh, also in terms of another book I sneakily looked and picked up on Scribd last night on my iPad. I started off reading Moonstruck, which is the second volume I picked up. This is like a graphic novel, like comic kind of series. Like about these like sort of magical like characters, like they're like, for instance, like werewolves, and like it's very light-hearted though. Like they work in a cafe, and it's kind of, they're very short, lovely little books. So the first book there was like a romance. I don't know really what the plot of is going to be more of this one in the second volume, but at the moment she's sort of like with her girlfriend that was from the first book, and it's very light, very cozy vibes, very sweet. So, which is what I feel like I need in between reading some of the women's prize books. It's like a nice little break for me. So that's why I started last night. But yeah, they're only like 120 pages, so that will probably, I might even finish that potentially later, depending on if I put the time to it. So yeah, always get good vibes from this kind of comic series. It's queer, it's gorgeous, it's lovely, it's magical, it's just what you need. So yeah. That's that. At the library, I have picked up recently, which I haven't shown you guys, I picked up a physical copy of Her Majesty's Coven by Juno Dawson. And this was like largely influenced, like I tried to listen to the audiobook of this, and for whatever reason or another, I think it was just where my brain was at when I tried to listen to it. I just didn't get into it, because the actual narrator is amazing, but I just wasn't in the place for the, I feel like this is like sort of fantasy sort of kind of thing, and I feel like I needed the physical copy to have the words in front of me to kind of give me that, and to give me that sort of structure and grounding. I don't know if there's like a character map at the beginning, or there's maps in here, and yeah, there's maps. So yeah, I feel like I need the words so that I can go over it. I don't know. I'm hoping, I know that the reason I picked this up was because the lovely Victoria from What Victoria Read had just, and also I've obviously seen Lauren from Lauren the Books, they've raved about this book so much. Specifically, it was Victoria recently reading it, and she just loved it. So I was like, oh, I really need to give this one a go again. So as soon as I saw it in the library, I was like, I just need to get it. This will also be perfect for another readathon that's happening in a couple of weeks, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But yeah, again, fantasy, queer main characters. I think it's witchy. Apparently it's meant to be really good. So, of course, I got to try it. So hopefully I might even try and start that this week, if I can, between all the women's prize books that I'm reading. Speaking of women's prize books, I picked up, my reservation of Cursed Bread has come through by Sophie Mackintosh. I've never read any Sophie Mackintosh before. I know that she was on the Booker a few years ago for The Water Cure. I never actually read that one. This one is so short, as you can see. How short is it? It's less than 200 pages. It's 184 pages. So, and it's kind of like, I think it's obviously about a community, and they are being slowly poisoned, and then it's meant to be down to the bread, I think. Kind of the brief summary of it. I am interested and excited for this one. I'm hoping maybe this will give me those feelings that I want, those exciting feelings, and for it, but maybe we shall see. I shall tell you, and you'll be probably seeing me. Will you see me read it in the plods? No, you probably won't, because the next plod is Sunday, a little plug. Next plod along will be Sunday the 26th of March, 10 a.m. BST on Gemma, the gorgeous Gemma Books' channel, and our special guest is going to be Scott from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and maybe we'll even get Nell too. I don't know, I will be. So yeah, that'll be the next plot, but and that's hopefully would have read that by then. I don't know, depending on my reading pace. So that is all the books that I'm got on my bookish horizons and like things on my sites. Then now I will get on, I know what I will talk about. The first thing I will talk about on my little checklist and notes that I've got in front of me is Trans Girl April. And Trans Girl April is a readathon being hosted by the gorgeous Kevi from Say Kevi and also Willow from Books and Bow. And this is a month readathon to read, focus on reading books by trans authors. There is like a load of prompts and like a grid and things that like they've done like a really good like system of like prompts and stuff, which I will link. Actually, I'll just link Kevi's video, the announcement video, in the description because it kind of goes into that all that into detail. But it's really, really accessible. Really thanks. I'm super excited for it. And so I've got like a big pile of books upstairs. I've got a pile of books upstairs that I'm interested in reading. I've got loads of books put by on script. So I will probably be doing a TBR, maybe going up if I can get one done. Maybe Wednesday next week. I think that's doable. So up on my channel, or Wednesday or Thursday next week. So watch out for that. But yeah, if you're not subscribed to Kevi and Willow, obviously go ahead and do so. Like Kevi is amazing. Like she's one of my favourites. Like I love her, and it's just such a brilliant readathon. So yeah, you should all be joining in. That's my thing. Then what shall I say then now? Should we, as I said about the women's prize things, shall I tell you my rankings that I've out of the books that I've read for the women's prize so far? I have read 6 books, and I will tell you them from least favourite to favourite. So 6th out of the books that I've read from the women's prize so far, and these rankings might change week to week. So this is why I thought, well, as you're hearing my thoughts weekly anyway, it's a perfect place to park this, and it will be interesting to see how it does change, maybe depending how books fade, or the more you talk about books, they get you more excited with other people, it gets you more excited for them. So anyway, no further ado, 6th place I put Glory by No Valaweo. I liked this book. Did I like this book? Did I like this book? There were bits of it I did like. The first bit I did not get, like more than a third of the way in I was really struggling with it. But when there's like a character that comes in, I don't know if I can say her name, but she comes in from out of the community, and as soon as she arrives, the plot does get better, and I did enjoy it more. But yeah, I wouldn't want to reread Glory. No, I wouldn't. So I think I gave it like 2.75 stars. I'm very specific with my stars. This is why. But yeah, I won't tell you my star rating for everyone because you don't need to know that. But yeah. Memphis by Tara and Stringfellow is in 5th place. I have different reasons for this. Right, when I read this, I loved this book. I loved it when I read it. It's very short. And I loved it. I may have even given it 5 stars initially, but it's kind of like a year later since I read it literally within the month that it got released, and it's a year later and I can't really remember very much of the plot other than like some of the quite traumatic stuff. And yeah, so it hasn't really stayed with me, so therefore obviously that means the star rating will obviously would drop. Maybe I need to reread it, I don't know. But there's also been some things about the author recently which I've heard about, negative things, which you're welcome to look up about. I may link the video. There's a video that one of a booktuber has done, so if you're interested, let me know and I'll maybe direct you to it. I don't need this kind of book in my life. This is why it's kind of at the bottom of the pile for whatever reason. There's numerous factors for it, so yeah. In 4th place is I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel, and like I said, I've got mixed feelings on the book. I don't really want to reread it. It's probably why it's 4th place. I did like this book for the most part. I don't know, like I said, mixed feelings. But the ending wasn't super strong on this, but so either. So it's in 4th place for now, like out of the books that I've read. Then 3rd place, I've got The Marriage Portrait, obviously, by Maggie O'Farrell. I wasn't like, I feel like I felt kind of cross with this book when I finished it, first of all. But it's one that has stayed with me. So this is kind of the opposite effect of Memphis, in the fact that I kind of like I was kind of like, I don't know what I was expecting from it, because I hadn't heard of a lot of how when I read it, I didn't know about how it was based on real life and stuff. But yeah, it has stayed with me. Maggie O'Farrell's a really good writer. It's not going to be like a favourite of all time. It still won't be. But yeah, the writing's good. It's one I feel like quite happy to recommend to people. So yeah. Demon Copperhead, obviously, Barbara Kingsolver. This is my first experience with Barbara Kingsolver. I want to read more of her work. I feel like I want to just work my way through all of her books, even though I've only read this one. I listened to the audiobook of this, as you guys will know, and I kind of like, I feel like it's one I want to reread, and I want to reread it soon. So if I had a physical copy before the women's prize the winner gets announced, I would probably try and reread it by then. There were lots of books on my shelves. I don't know, but that's the kind of feeling I get from that book. That's number 2. And then first place is Wandering Souls, and by Cecile Pin. And yeah, I just loved this book. I loved the I just think it's just so well written. I think it's just it talks about such themes that have, even though this book is kind of like, it was written, it's sort of like, not written, it was kind of the setting, it's sort of set in the sort of 70s, 80s and onwards, up till present. The themes in this are so relevant, obviously talking about immigration and talking about the refugee crisis. Yeah, it's just, and I love the title as well. This is something I haven't said to you guys. Like, I love the title. I love how it sort of relates so deeply, because in this book there are dead characters that narrate the end, like the end of the chapters. There's a dead character that narrates at the end of the chapters. But also that's he is a wandering soul himself. But also, obviously, the nature of being refugees, the nature of them travelling, the nature of things that are happening, they are all wandering souls. All the characters in this book, many of the characters in this book are wandering souls. It's just really good, and it's just, I feel like I really want to reread it already. I want to get the physical copy. I feel like I'm going to save it for when I go to London soon. I've got to go to London in a couple of weeks, which is very exciting, which you'll find out more in a few weeks. But yeah, so that's my number 1. I loved it. I kind of feel like at the moment this is what I want to win the Women's Prize. Will it? I don't know. So that's that. And also, I forgot to say to you guys, thank you so much, everyone that has been participating in the plod along with us and joining in and talking to us. We loved it so much. Every single live show we've done, we've literally loved so much. We've only done a few, I think this is we did the 3rd one on my channel on Tuesday, which I will link in the description in case you missed it. We had the lovely Charlie and Charles Heathcote and Fraser from Fraser Simons, as well as obviously the usual plod along crew, and we just had the best time. So yeah, and obviously Sarah's one at the weekend as well. So yeah, thank you so much for all of you joining in and plodding along with us. If you'd like to support our Instagram, we've got an Instagram, like I keep saying about, the WP plod along. I'll put this along, Women's Prize plod along, that's what it's kind of short for, WP plod along. And even the Women's Prize are following it. So, and also the director of the Women's Prize is following our Instagram. So, if you're not following our Instagram, you want to keep up to date with what's going on. And we want the Instagram to be like a community space. So we love seeing all of the posts from you guys. So make sure you keep tagging us, keep telling us what you're reading. If you've got any favourite quotes from any of the books, let us know, because I might be able to put them on the main posts. Let us know any of the if you've got any favourite quotes from previous Women's Prize books that you've read, or any quotes from ones you're reading. Tag us, let us know. Or if you've got pictures of the ones you're reading, obviously tag us, like I said. So yeah, that's been loads of fun. We've been really enjoying doing that. So I think that is me, apart from, I know what I was going to say. Recent movie I've been watching. What recent movie I've been watching? Obviously, Michelle Yeoh won the Oscar at loads of Oscars. The film Everything Everywhere All at Once obviously won a ton of Oscars at the weekend. And so the day after, me and Oscar, my eldest, we've been desperate to watch this movie for ages. So we were like, yes, we're gonna watch it tonight. So we watched it on Monday night, and we literally loved it so much. So if you haven't, and you're the only person that hasn't watched this movie, I 100% recommend watching it. It's so much fun. It's sort of parallel universes. It's mother-daughter relationship. You've got a queer main character. It's just the best movie. Honestly, it's the best movie I've watched in ages. Parts of it you're watching, you're like, what am I watching? But it's amazing. It's kind of long. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. But yeah, it's worth it. I loved it. It's a favourite. So yeah, if you have watched it and you want to talk to me about it in the comments, please tell me in the comments below. But yeah. I hope you all guys have a good weekend. Obviously this weekend might be difficult for some of you guys. It's in the UK, we've got Mother's Day weekend. If any of you guys need a big hug, I'm sending you love. It's not always easy, Mother's Day isn't, but I hope that you will have lovely times with your families if you can, and just like I hope you've all got people there for you, whether good, bad or whatever with your family situation. So yeah, I'm sending big hugs to all of you. Take care. Goodbye.